Oh, I am muted. Run it back. Let's do it. I was muted. For some reason the mic didn't click. Okay, let's try this one again. Where are we going here? It's a good shout. Let's do this. Yeah, it came in a perfect time. Alright, let's try it again. How's it going, everybody? Take two this time. I had my mic muted. We're back with Game Week 13. We're going to be looking at how my team did. We're going to look at the results. We're going to look at our predictions. We're going to look at all of the different things going on here. We're going to see my predictions for this week coming up, how my team did, any transfers that I may or may not have made, and like Chad is saying, imagine if I had realized afterwards. So yeah, the mic was muted. The button sometimes is a bit finicky, which is a bit weird. I just got to pay attention to it next time. So I've already got my snippet tool up on the screen here. This was my tweet that I put out for all of the different predictions. So the last week we got a total of 8 points. So the way the point system works is if I get the result right, I get 1 point. If I get the exact score right, I get 3 points. If I don't get the result right at all, then I get 0 points. So without further ado, let's see how I did. So Watford, I said 2-1. It was close, so I get 1 point for that. Chelsea beating Crystal Palace, got the result right, didn't get the score right. I said 3-1, it was 2-0. I said Burnley would beat West Ham 2-1, they ended up winning 3-0, so that's another point there. I got the result wrong in the Newcastle-Bournemouth game, thought Bournemouth should be able to win that game comfortably. They didn't, so no points there. A draw between Southampton and Everton. Everton managed to scrape the win, so wrong result there again. Spurs and Sheffield United, I actually got the result exactly right, so that's quite nice, so we get 3 points for that. Leicester versus Arsenal, I said 3-1, still got the result right of 2-0 win. And then I said that Man United would beat Brighton 2-1. They won 3-1. I think I skipped over a line there. So they got the result right there, so that's another point. Wolves versus Aston Villa, I said it would be 2-2. It was a 2-1 victory for Wolves. And then I said a 2-1 victory for Liverpool and Man City. It ended up being 3-1. No big deal there. So a total, we got 9 points, which isn't bad. That's pretty good. That's a few results right. And then if we're looking here at our clean sheets and differentials, we had Bournemouth clean sheet. Well, we know that didn't happen. Ramsdale, I think Ramsdale got bonus points, so I think I'm gonna like half count that in a sense. Rico, how did Rico do? Rico didn't do very well. Yeah, so Ramsdale, although he didn't keep a clean sheet, he still got some. He got some bonus points. So Rico obviously didn't do well. Madison definitely was a good shout, and Rashford was a good shout. So overall, not too bad. Just got the Bournemouth side of things wrong. So not bad, not bad. So like a 2.5/3 out of 5 on the differentials and 9 points on that, which is quite good. Not topping our best score of 10, which was back in Game Week 6. But overall, that's kind of what we're looking for, around the 8 to 10 point mark. If we get one exact result right and then a few results, the result itself right. So we'll move that out of the way. So yeah, running down those scores, what can we see from this? Well, Watford has clearly turned the corner, for sure. Although they're against Norwich, who aren't the greatest of teams. Chelsea doing what Chelsea does, playing quite well. Burnley showing that West Ham cannot keep the defense straight. Bournemouth still showing that they can play well against a really good team, and then play poorly against a really bad team. So still up in the air there. Southampton and Newcastle both desperately needing points. Them getting 3 points for Everton is obviously very big. It gives Marco Silva another week or two, I would say. Sheffield United versus Spurs. Obviously Spurs in turmoil. Obviously with news coming out this week that Mauricio Pochettino was sacked from his position and replaced by none other than Jose Mourinho. So how is that going to shape up? Well, I think it's actually a good move personally. Pochettino was obviously showing mixed results. Apparently, he had lost 75% of the dressing room, according to reports. And so it's going to be looking like they want some stability, and they're looking for a trophy, because when you bring in Mourinho, you want trophies. That's basically the end goal there. So that's basically what we're looking for. In terms of the Spurs camp, is Mourinho going to be the right man? We'll have to see, but hopefully he'll definitely get the defense on board, because their defense has been something that's not been great from the Spurs, so hopefully they can get that all sorted. Obviously, Arsenal being disappointed that they couldn't beat Leicester. Leicester showing why they are really good and why they've been hyped up. Didi, how's it going? Thank you for the follow last time out. And yeah, so Leicester looking really good. I have Leicester assets, have done for a few weeks now, and they've paid off quite nicely. United obviously beating Brighton. Many people thought that this could be a banana peel for them. Could easily falter in the game. They got a pretty convincing win for the most part. The goal they conceded was probably a sloppy one on their part. So yeah. And then obviously the big game of the week was City versus Liverpool. Liverpool obviously showing why they are top of the league. Man City obviously faltering, not having Laporte. Just didn't seem to have control of their attempts, as it were. So when they go in on goal, they just didn't have that final cutting edge. They managed to get one goal, and for the most part, Liverpool pretty much sat back for large portions, especially in the second half. And City was able to kind of control the game, but just never was able to find that streak that we know that they're good at. Jose Mourinho, class manager. He was definitely at Chelsea, definitely at Real Madrid. So, but we'll have to see kind of how that plays out. So, looking at my team, I currently don't have any Spurs players, but what I do have is a bunch of pretty good players that showed up quite nicely this week. So Ramsdale obviously getting 4 points. He got some bonus points. Didn't keep a clean sheet, but was quite effective. Rico obviously only getting 1. Would have rather had Soyuncu in. My reasoning behind that, which I said on the last stream, was that I wanted Rico in because of against Newcastle. Didn't think Newcastle was good. Apparently Newcastle's found a hot form, so gonna have to take that in consideration now. Still got Pereira 7 points, so not the end of the world there. Lundstrom only getting 2 because obviously not keeping a clean sheet against Spurs. Our transfer was McGinn. He only got us 2 points, not contributing to Aston Villa in that week, but we still have high hopes for him. Mount not getting a return, but still getting a clean sheet point. De Bruyne and Sterling only 1 goal in the whole game, and the only one was going to Aguero. And then you have Sadio Mane getting a very late goal. To pretty much seal it up, as it were, for Liverpool. And then you have Tammy Abraham getting his goal for Chelsea, and then Jamie Vardy doing crazy amounts of Jamie Vardy things. Didi says there's 50k in the world and has no City players. Pretty good. I still think City players are obviously valuable. Maybe not necessarily over these 2 games, because Liverpool, Chelsea, quite tough fixtures, but Aguero's obviously found his way to still find the back of the net. And yeah, obviously the most disappointing thing for this week was we have Soyuncu, unfortunately on the bench with 8 points, so could have had 7 more points, but I've been lucky with some defenders coming off the bench anyway. The average points being 48, and we had 62, so we had a slight rank drop from 30k to 38k. Not the end of the world, but we're still doing perfectly fine. Engels didn't play. We didn't play him. He was just, I think he had a knock, so we're going to be moving on from that. So how's my team shaping up this week? Looks a bit something like this. Am I happy with it? I'm not too sure. Obviously, City versus Chelsea against each other. One of the iconic games where only Kevin De Bruyne scored was a 1-0. So obviously, not the greatest for FPL. I mean, obviously clean sheet for City, but not many people have City defenders because they can't seem to keep the ball at the back of the net. So we'll have to see. So let's go down to the actual fixtures here. Pep changed his team so much for me. Yeah, unfortunately he's had to deal with a couple of injuries that have kind of changed the whole way the dynamic of the team works. But we'll have to see. I think Chelsea could be a tough test for them, and it definitely should be a worrying game for him as well. Especially if they lose that, it's almost Liverpool's league to lose. So we got our little notepad here. We got our games for this week. First game right off the bat is Jose Mourinho, straight out the gate. First game of the weekend against West Ham, and what better of a result for Jose Mourinho than a nice 1-0? I think that's probably the most likely result. Yeah, we'll go with a 1-0. We'll go with a nice, like, scrappy Harry Kane goal that's, like, nicked on, like, the one counter they have in the whole game. And they'll keep that nice clean sheet. Arsenal versus Southampton. Arsenal have had a chance to reset. They've been in pretty bad form, all things considered. I think they can get the mental edge over Southampton, who just lost in the game versus Everton, where they needed to win. I think Arsenal should win this one pretty handily. I think they should probably also keep a clean sheet as well, because Southampton aren't the greatest at scoring goals. I'm going to go with a 2-0 win. Bournemouth versus Wolves. Now, Bournemouth seems to play up to their opponent. I think that they can do quite well versus Wolves. The only problem is that Wolves seem to be picking up their form, even though they have Europa League. I can see this game just being a... let's go with a 2-2. I think a 2-2 is a fair result. Bournemouth can score. They obviously dipped in form, but they're obviously a lot better at home. I think a 2-2 will probably be a fair result in that. Looking at the Brighton-Leicester game. Obviously, Leicester coming off a loss away from home. They're returning back home. And then now they're going to be looking towards seeing if they can recover from that defeat at Manchester United. However, what they're going to be looking to do is have to break down a Leicester defense that's been quite good. Indeed, for shielding the back four. You got Soyuncu and Evans. Evans looks like a brand new player in that back line. Soyuncu, very young talent, and they arguably have two best fullbacks in the league on current form. I think Leicester should have no problem with this, especially considering their last away win from home was a 9-0. So albeit it was against Southampton, and it was because they got a sending off very early. But I think Leicester should have no problem with this. I think Brighton will probably score, so I'm going to go with Leicester 3-1. Crystal Palace, obviously better away from home than they are at home. Liverpool obviously coming off an amazing victory, which has pretty much sealed, the title for them, assuming no massive slip-ups, no pun intended there, against Man City in the race, or Chelsea, or Leicester even, because they're obviously in the mix now. So Crystal Palace. What can we expect from them? Well, they're definitely going to have to sit in because Liverpool's probably going to have the majority of the ball, but they're obviously very good on the counterattack. And who better than be on the counterattack is Wilfried Zaha. As we know, Wilfried Zaha and Patrick Van Arnholt, they all stem down the left-hand side. Their weakest side of their defense is their right-hand side, which will be the mirror for Liverpool, and Trent, as he likes to get forward. So that could be something that they exploit. So I expect Crystal Palace to get one goal, but I still think Liverpool to comfortably win this game 3-1 as well. Everton versus Norwich. Now this one's a tough one to call. Everton is at home, but it seems like when you want Everton to actually play well, they don't. And when they don't, if you don't want them to play well, they do. So it's a matter of, can Norwich kind of come back in this game and do anything, because they won their first two games, or looked pretty good in their first two games, and then after that was a load of rubbish basically. So it's kind of hard. The Pookie party has ended. Maybe it'll start back up again. I just think this game is probably going to be quite boring. I think it'll probably just be like a 1-1. It could be a 0-0 for all I know, but it's pretty hard to call. I think it's just going to be a 1-1, because it's something like Everton to go and get the victory that they needed, and then they just draw or lose and do something pretty badly. Watford versus Burnley. Now, Watford being at home again, obviously notoriously better at Vicarage Road. Burnley away from home, not as good. I think this could be a close contest, honestly, but I think I'm going to have to give the edge to Watford. They seem to be on the up and up. I'm going to give them a 2-1 victory. Not sure when Troy Deeney's back, if he is back. I know he had a longer-term injury, but I still see them doing quite well at home. Now, the hardest game to call, probably, apart from the United game, all week. City versus Chelsea. City being at home, coming off a loss, they're going to want to try to do get the better of the fixture this time as well. I think if City are going to win this game, it's definitely going to have to come from their midfield. Chelsea's midfield has been playing awesome recently with Kovacic and Jorginho really controlling things, and obviously their front line's been doing quite well with the likes of Mason Mount providing the resources needed for the likes of Tammy Abraham, Pulisic, Hudson-Odoi, Willian, all these players up front, and providing the goals for the team. So it's going to be a close contest. I don't think there's going to be a clean sheet in this. I think both teams are going to score. I'm going to go with a pretty, somewhat of a high-scoring game. I think City will edge it, just because they have to basically retain that gap and try to hunt Liverpool back down. And they're going to be looking to prove something, especially at home. So I think they'll win 3-2 versus Chelsea. Sheffield United versus Man United. Now, this game I've been milling over literally since the international break started because Chris Wilder's team has looked awesome. At home, they've looked even better. It's just one of those games where you can easily see Sheffield United honestly winning this game. United's form has obviously been up and down and up and down and up and down this season. It looks like we finally found a good vein of form with Rashford and Martial playing well. So it's going to be a tough game. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say that both teams aren't going to keep a clean sheet, but I think United would just nick it in a closely bouted game, 2-1, and one of my picks will show you why I think they're going to win that game. And then last but not least, we have Aston Villa versus Newcastle. Aston Villa still playing decently well. Newcastle on a hot streak. I think that it could be a close contest. It's going to be probably an entertaining game. Nonetheless, there could be some type of red card in this game. I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw at the end of the day. Not the greatest for both teams, but I think Aston Villa has enough grit to basically fend off the Newcastle kind of hot streak that they're on, the 2-game win streak. But I think Newcastle will probably finally get Joe Linton or Almira on a goal. Yeah, I think that's how it's going to go. Chat saying that it could be a 1-1. Yeah, Chelsea could win. Again, it could be the other way around. It could be a 3-2 for Chelsea as well. I think it's just going to be a high-scoring game in general because Chelsea's defense and Man City's defense are both not the greatest. They usually concede at least one. And then United and Sheffield United could be a 1-1 as well. I mean, both teams set up somewhat defensively in a sense. Sheffield United a bit more probably on the front foot. United's been more on the front foot in recent games. So it could be something to where we see kind of a back and forward of like two immovable objects just basically trying to find a way around each other. So it could be quite interesting there to see how that pans out. Now, if we look at our clean sheets and differentials, I have a clean sheet going to Spurs. I think that they should be able to, with Jose Mourinho, get a clean sheet with no problem. Not much having to be said there. In goal, I put David De Gea. For some reason, even though I think United will concede a goal, I think there's going to be a lot of shots on our goal, which will mean De Gea will rack up quite a bit of saves, and maybe a penalty save if something comes down. Obviously it's out there, but I think that I can't guarantee on Leno getting a lot of saves. So I think even if De Gea does concede a goal, I think that he will be able to, get some saves there. Hey Bulldogs, how's it going? We're just talking about our players that we think will do well this week, and like I said, even if De Gea doesn't necessarily do well, I think he's going to get a lot of saves. So whether he concedes, he'll still probably get 3-4 points because Sheffield United do like to shoot. So it's going to be interesting there. Arsenal in defense, so I think Tierney, he's got to start this game for Arsenal. You have to start Tierney and Bellerin. It's been too long for Arsenal, and the fans are starting to get a bit irritated. I'm doing quite fine. I'm raring and ready to go for this for this game week for sure. International break has been a bit boring for me. I don't really care for international football too much. I like the Premier League, and I'm glad to be back for it, and especially coming up for the Christmas period where there's a lot of games going on. So yeah, Tierney, I think he's got to play. He has to play. Him and Bellerin both have to start. It's kind of mandatory for Arsenal for them to do well. And I think that's the way they'll keep a clean sheet because he's also good defensively as well. So quite good there. Kevin De Bruyne I put here. Now Kevin De Bruyne is very highly owned, but I think that in order for Man City to do well, De Bruyne basically has to have a masterclass. He's got to be the boss in midfield that we know he is. He's going to have to put in good deliveries, and we're just going to have to hope that the forwards put it away, because obviously Aguero was quite disappointing versus Liverpool. He did end up scoring, but could have probably scored more. So we're going to need to see a De Bruyne masterclass if City are going to win, and even still, I still think it's going to be a high-scoring game, no matter which side of the field you're playing on, whether you're a Chelsea fan, City fan, or even a neutral. And then last but not least, we mentioned this previously, I think that Rashford is going to be our forward for the week. I think that in order for United to win, he's going to have to put in a good performance. He had a lot of misses, but he also did score in the Brighton win. He had, I think it was 4 chances in the first half. I know it was at least 3 clear-cut ones. So he's going to have to start putting those away when he gets into those good positions. And yeah, and he's been doing quite well for England, so I think he's on a hot streak. I think he's going to be the go-to guy. So that is my predictions and quote-unquote differentials for the week, or who I think will do well. We shall move that off to the side here. So yeah, I think just one last time we'll run it down. We think Spurs is going to go for the 1-0 win. Arsenal 2-0 win over Southampton, I think. It's going to be a scoring contest with Bournemouth and Wolves 2-2. Leicester and Liverpool will get 3-1 wins over their counterparts. Everton and Norwich will probably be a boring 1-1 or a 0-0. I think it's a 1-1. Watford 2-1 win over Burnley. I think Watford is on the up and up now. I don't think they deserve to be relegated or should be relegated. Because they're a good enough team not to be. City and Chelsea will be a high-scoring game. I think City will edge it 3-2. United should barely edge Sheffield United 2-1, and then Aston Villa and Newcastle should be a highly contested game with 1-1 draw. Now, if we go back to looking at our team, what we currently have in place. So I can only play one goalkeeper this week. I can only play Ramsdale because Henderson is not eligible to play against Manchester United, and normally would I want to play Henderson versus Man United because I think that he will concede 1 at least. So we're going to have Ramsdale in a goal. We're also going to put Rico in because I think he is probably the best out of a good bunch. I know I have Lundstram on the bench and it'll probably end up scoring against United, and I don't want that to happen, so I'm just kind of crossing my fingers and kind of doubling down on it. And then we have obviously the 2 Leicester defenders. Even though they might concede a goal to Brighton and for some set piece, I still think Pereira has potential to get attacking returns. We've seen the Soyuncu and Pereira are decent for bonus points, so I think I'm going to have to stick them in there. McGinn we have in there. He's against Newcastle. He's at home. I feel that he's going to be the man, either him, if Grealish is unfit, to basically be able to pull the team out of the fire and basically push past this Newcastle team that's been on a bit of a hot streak. So we're going to have to kind of keep a close eye on him. We have the 2 Chelsea boys, obviously Mount and Abraham, that are doing wonderful things this year. We have them in the team. We have Abraham as the vice captain for this week. We have Kevin De Bruyne and Raheem Sterling obviously in the team. Obviously a movable object there. They're playing against Chelsea at home this week. We're hoping for them to do something in the highly contested scoring game that we've predicted. Mane in the team still, obviously, scored last week, doing quite well. Crystal Palace away, usually doesn't score well away from home, but we're hoping to see if he can get a return here as well. And then last but not least, we have Jamie Vardy as our captain. Of course, why wouldn't we? He just keeps scoring. Just keep the captain's armband on him. Makes sense not to. And then we obviously have Henderson, like I said, can't play against United. We have Lundstram as first sub, because if he does do something miraculous, we want him to come in. Tomori, we have second. In Chelsea's defense, and then we have Greenwood third, who is unlikely to come off the bench, or is possible to come off the bench, maybe 10 minutes and getting us 1 point. I'm thinking to myself, should I swap Greenwood and Tomori, because if it is, yeah, I think I'll do that. I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to put Greenwood ahead of Tomori, even though I think all of these guys are going to start for their team. We'll keep that as is, because in the event that it's a high-scoring game, the likelihood of Tomori scoring isn't very likely over the likes of someone like Mount or Abraham or somebody like that. So we'll put him ahead. We'll keep Lundstrom here because first sub is always important, and Lundstrom is probably the most likely to potentially get something, I would think, out of the three here. So that's what we'll go with. In terms of transfers, now I haven't made any transfers this week. This is what the team's looking like value-wise. You know, I've already played the wild card. You know, I'm not really sure what to do. Oh no, I did make a transfer this week. I lied. We brought in Tomori. That's who it was. Who did we take out for? I can't remember. Let's go back to my team. It's been so long. Let's go points. I can't even remember now. Who was it? It was Engels, right? We just took it. We took him straight back out and just brought in Tomori just because of a price rise. Because Chelsea's fixtures after the fact are quite decent defensively. I think he was just a stopgap. I'm not sure why I really made the transfer. I also got a bit worried that of these fixtures here. I don't know why I made the transfer in the first place. I think it was a hesitation transfer. But we brought in Tomori now for the one transfer of the week. That's what it was. And it was a price rise as well. So if we go to the list view, Tomori was supposed to rise. He didn't. So we just have him in there anyway. He's 4.8. He's 0.3 more than Engels, but we're gonna get a better quality defender anyway on a better team. So I think it just makes the most sense. In terms of value, we've got 0.1 on Henderson. We've got 0.1 on Ramsdale. We've got Rico's 0.2. We have 0.1 on Pereira. Soyuncu's obviously done well for us. We got him in at his base price. Lundstrom, had him since the beginning. Doing quite well. Mane, we've had him since 11.6. Getting a lot of value for us. Sterling's obviously dropped back down to base 12 million. I think he'll just stay around that mark for the most part anyway for the entire season. De Bruyne's kind of leveling back out to what he was before. Mount, we got him at 6.6, so we didn't get him as cheap as what most people had him, which was, I believe, 6 million. Either 6 or 6.5. Jamie Vardy had him since 9 million. He's now 9.6. Greenwood's obviously dropped down in prices because of lack of playing, and then obviously a big kicker is we've had Abraham since he was 7.5 million, and some people probably had him since he was 7 million. So doing quite well there. So I think that's kind of how we're going to set the team up there. Let's go back to it. Yeah, I think that's going to be our overall team there. Don't think I'm going to make any changes. I forgot I even brought in Tomori, honestly. Bring in a defender just to put him last on the bench. Who would have thought? But it's for the fixtures after the fact, like we said. So we're going to be playing Tomori against West Ham. We're going to be playing him against Aston Villa. We're going to be playing him against Everton. We're going to be playing him against Bournemouth. And against Southampton. And the only kind of games we have to kind of look at is maybe the Tottenham away and the Arsenal away games in 18 and 20. And if we just look at Lundstrom's fixtures, in 18 he has Brighton away, so we're pretty good there. 20, not so great in Man City. If we look at Leicester's 18 and 20, their 20 is West Ham away, so we can afford to play both of those. And then for Bournemouth's 20, they're Brighton away, like I said. So looking forward to playing him in that Rico in that game as well. So I believe that's going to do it for this week. Be sure to check out the tweet to finalize my team, which I usually put out on Twitter, as well as our clean sheet differentials and predictions. That's going to do it for this week. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to check out the channel. Leave a follow on the channel if you liked it. We do this every week towards the end of the week usually. Yeah, we'll put this video up on the YouTube channel as well. Links are all in the description down below. You can see my links to Twitter, Twitch, and make sure you leave a follow on those so that you can see when these videos go up, and you can also see when we're streaming as well. And you can see all the other content that we do on this channel, which is not just FPL, but FPL is one of the main parts of it. So enjoy the FPL game week, and until next time, see ya!